Hi, and welcome to part 5 of Reiki 1. This part is going to be about who we're talking about. So I'm going to tell you about Dr. Usui, Dr. Hayashi, and Mrs. Takata. Hear a little bit about their stories and how they brought Reiki to us the way that I was taught many, many years ago. Dr. Mikao Usui, 1865 to 1926. He was a husband, father, spiritual seeker. In or around 1922, Dr. Usui went to Mount Karuma for a long fasting retreat. During this time of profound meditation, Usui became able to understand the power to heal and empower others to do the same. He decided to share this publicly and moved his family home to accomplish this. Usui referred to his practice as the secret of happiness and the secret of medicine. This linking of happiness and healing is typical of Asian medicine. His teachings are meant to improve body and mind, with mind including mental, emotional, and spiritual. Dr. Usui, or Sensei Usui, initiated several level 3 practitioners. Now, that being said, we will tell the story as told by Mrs. Takata a little bit later on. Now, a little bit about Dr. Chilio Hayashi, 1878 to 1940. He was among the students initiated as Reiki masters by Dr. Usui. He was a retired naval captain and medical doctor. Dr. Hayashi studied with Dr. Usui in 1925. They collaborated on a handbook which specified different hand placements for the treatment of various conditions. Usui encouraged Hayashi to open a clinic and develop the healing aspects of Reiki practice. Hayashi simplified the practice of Reiki, bringing it closer to the way it would soon be introduced to the West. It was common to have a Reiki treatment with 2 Reiki professionals simultaneously while lying on a treatment table. Dr. Hayashi initiated 13 level 3 practitioners. And last but not least, Mrs. Hawayo Takata, 1900 to 1980. She was the first person outside the Japanese culture who was accepted as Dr. Hayashi's student. She was also the first woman. This acceptance contained the provision that she study, as all his students did, training and working in his clinic in the mornings and making afternoon house calls. Then a review of her day's work with Hayashi at dinner. She returned to Hawaii in the summer of 1937, and Hayashi followed in September. They spent 6 months introducing the practice of Reiki to the territory of Hawaii. She continued her practice in Honolulu for nearly 3 decades and was the only master teaching in the West. Takata initiated 22 Reiki Level 3 practitioners in the 4 years preceding her death. The story of how Dr. Usui, or Sensei Usui, rediscovered Reiki. Dr. Usui, Sensei Usui, was a principal of a university in Japan, and he was challenged by his students by asking him how the biblical prophets and Jesus healed. And Dr. Usui could not answer this, and he dedicated his life to discovering the inner healing powers and the ultimate purpose of life. He set out to try to understand this, first traveling to America, to the University of Chicago. He received a doctorate in theology, but he still did not find what he was looking for, and eventually he returned to Japan, and he began visiting Buddhist monasteries, searching for the knowledge of physical healing. He talked to many Buddhist priests and scholars about physical healings, but was told the ability to heal the body was lost long ago. Eventually, he came across an abbot at a Zen monastery who allowed him to study the sacred writings in the Japanese sutras and the Sanskrit sutras of Tibet. The abbot was also interested in physical healing. He suggested Yusui make a spiritual pilgrimage to Mount Karuma, a mountain where Buddhist monks used to meditate for enlightenment and spiritual growth. And Yusui meditated there for 21 days in the hope of receiving enlightenment. He set 21 stones aside to count the days, and he discarded them one by one, day by day. On the 21st day, being very distressed for still not finding what he wanted, he saw a light in the distance coming towards him at great speed. The power of the light struck him on the forehead, making him unconscious. His spirit rose out of his body, and there he saw a beautiful rainbow of colors and bubbles of light. The light contained the symbols of Reiki, which he had seen in the ancient sutras. And when he became conscious again, he went dashing down the mountain and stubbed his toe. He held it in his hands only to realize the pain had gone. And that was Sensei Yusui's first miracle. When he came down from the mountain to get some food, he was able to eat a large meal without being sick after fasting for so long. That was his second miracle. He spoke to the shop owner's daughter, who was complaining about a toothache. Yusui put his hands over the girl's face, and her tooth was healed. The third miracle. Soon after, Yusui returned to Kyoto. He began working as a healer in a beggar's colony, which he did for 7 years. After a while, he noticed that some of the poor people that he had healed would return to beg in the streets. He asked them why they had returned to a life of begging, and their response was that it was too hard to live otherwise. And Dr. Yusui was upset by this and realized that he had ignored their spiritual needs, which were just as important as the physical healing. After meditating on this, he came up with the Reiki principles. Eventually, Yusui left the beggars' colony and started to teach people how to heal themselves. Yusui practiced and taught Reiki throughout Japan for the remainder of his life, and he passed on the master attunement to several disciples before his death. He passed on the master attunement to Dr. Chilio Hayashi. Now, I would like to read for you the Reiki principles that Dr. Yusui came up with. Just for today, I will give thanks for my many blessings. Just for today, I will not worry. Just for today, I will not be angry. Just for today, I will do my work honestly. Just for today, I will be kind to my neighbor and every living thing. Okay. Now, let's talk about these principles. Just for today, I will give thanks for my many blessings. I love to end my day with gratefulness and thanks for everything that I have received during that day. I am thankful for the roof over my head and the food in my refrigerator and my pantry. I am thankful for my friends. I am thankful for my family. So I like to just come up with at least 5 things, and then if something special happened during the day, be grateful for that and notice it and be thankful for those blessings. All right. Just for today, I will not worry. Now, we all worry. And when we are worrying, we're usually thinking about the future, something that hasn't even happened yet. Or it is something we did in the past. So what I'm going to say is, instead of instead of not worrying, which is nearly impossible in today's day and time, is we notice the worry and realize that it's either in the past or the future, and that right here in this time, in the present, everything is fine. All right. Just for today, I will not be angry. It's very, very similar to the previous one, I will not worry. So just for today, I will not be angry. And we do get angry. But the idea here is to acknowledge the anger and let it go, right? We don't want to be like the person that picks up the hot coal to throw it at somebody. Well, we might hit that person and hurt them, but we've definitely burned ourselves. So anger only hurts ourselves when we hold on to it. So just notice it and let it go. Just for today, I will do my work honestly. Now, he's not talking about your 9 to 5 job. He's talking about your spiritual work. So I am going to ask you to do self Reiki every day. And I would like for you to be honest with yourself and say, well, I'm going to do it for 15 minutes, say every day. And that's a pretty good amount of time. But I'm going to ask that you not say, oh, I'm going to do Reiki for an hour every day. And you're a busy person and you know that that's probably not going to happen. So it's better to devote time for your spiritual work. And if you do more time, that's great. But you want to do at least what you promise yourself you're going to do. And another thing is, when we ask for spiritual help and then we ignore spiritual help may stop coming around. So again, we want to do your spiritual work honestly. We want to keep appointments that we make with ourselves and with spirit. Okay? And then just for today, I will be kind to my neighbor and every living thing. And, I've kind of taken this to a place of non-judgment of people and of animals. And I don't even like, I carry bugs outside. Like, if I think spiders are great, but I'll catch them in cups or flies or whatever, and I'll release them outside because they deserve to live as much as anybody else. So again, I will be kind to my neighbor and every living thing. Kindness comes back to us fourfold. Is that what they said? I think that was in the Bible. So what you give, you receive. All right. So those are the Reiki principles. And if you follow these principles, I mean, there really will be so much less anger and hurt and worry in the world if everybody lived by these rules. So the Reiki principles, so beautiful.